saw the sign podcast.
Hello, this is Dallas Lucas, and this was recorded after the show. I wanted to give a big thanks tonight for my guest on, Jack. This is one of the best right here. This was a pretty good episode, guys. Pretty good. Not a lot of news tonight, so if you came here for news, that's not what we did. A lot of yapping, about an hour long. I just wanted to say, as I always say, hit the follow button. It helps a ton, and rate the show. Main menu of the podcast, top right corner, 3 dots. Give it a rating, 5 stars, hopefully. But yeah, this is an hour long, wonderful episode, and a lot of yapping. But yeah, without a further ado, here's the episode. Good evening, I'm Dallas Lucas, and this is Saw the Sign. I'm here today with a guest, Jack. Say hi.
Hello.
Alright, we're also happy and go-lucky. We're going to cover the news tonight, just give our opinions on it, and also discuss a few other things that may be interesting. Jack, I want to ask you a question that I've been interested in for a while about you. Is, World War II had a lot of unfriendly faces, a lot of, bad and extremist ideologies and whatnot. I want to ask you, your opinion, your ground-breaking thesis on it. How'd you, what do you think about World War II? What do you think about it? The outcome.
I think that World War II it's easily one of the most complicated moments in, contemporary history, because it was the first war that was fought to that scale, and it was also, the last war that was fought to that scale in terms of how open it was. And, The outcome is one of those things where we're still figuring out the outcomes from World War II. It happened almost 100 years ago, and it's like the wounds still haven't completely healed. It's almost impossible to sit there and say, oh, well, the outcome was this, because so much happened. It really did, it was like after World War II, it was like a paradigm shift,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like all the rules got changed. Everything was different. I would say that, it's funny because, you'd think you'd go, well, I like the outcome of it. And it's like, I don't like the outcome of it at all. I wished it had never happened.
Yeah. I was reading something the other day about Italy and Italy's role in World War II. And I wasn't, I wasn't reading about the Mussolini or anything. Or what he did, but I was reading about how there are several, hundreds of families, Italian families that, respected Mussolini and actually, liked that regime more than anything. Before what came, that regime, they liked his regime more than the monarchy that was failing, of course. And so I was reading. After World War II ended, there was a wave of migrants, a wave of immigration of Italian families that just left Italy after World War II ended because the regime changed. The Allies won, and they were garrisoned there. They were installing a regime change, and so the common what's the word I'm looking for? The common theme here, is, even in Germany, right? A lot of them flew to, France and didn't want to stay in communist occupied Berlin and Poland. And so, I wanted to ask you your opinion, because of course you can just get the opinion of, oh, well, people, saw it was unstable and, it was the economy dropped after World War II, but what is your opinion, and why do you think all these Italian migrants left after World War II, and why they respected Mussolini and preferred his regime?
Italy is, and Italians in general, they're a very emotionally complicated group of people, for sure.
Okay.
Really, they are. I think a lot of it has to do with kind of like a, I mean, and I might be wrong on this, but I'd say it's like, well, we've tried, we failed, let's leave for something else, almost like out of like a kind of like a shame, I suppose, for because nobody likes a loser. That's like a big thing. It's nobody likes a loser. And if you think, oh, we've got this in the bag, it's like our new regime is so much better, and then it fails, a lot of people want to bail out of it. Or it could be as well that they saw what the real powers were, when they lost their new regime, and it was exposed to them that, wait, no, we're not like the strongest or the best in the world. You look at the places that defeated you, and you think, maybe I should go over there. It's like, if they're able to beat us, they're probably doing better than we were, Could just be out of that, out of spite, out of wanting to escape the poverty, and seeking places that might be able to help with that. And for the most part, it did, because a lot of Italians, when they immigrated like over to America and stuff, they started doing very well for themselves. Not all of them, but some. I mean, look at like some of the mafia families.
That's
like,
right, yeah. That is a common theme there, too.
Yeah, John Gotti. And really, it's like, I want to say the mafia became a lot more powerful after pretty much every war, because people were desperate and they needed like work and to provide, and the mafia really helped support a lot of that. Pretty sure mafia in Italian just means bully, so it's just
really?
a bunch of bullies.
Is it
and
really?
everything. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
Hold on.
I think
I have to Google that. What does mafia mean in Italian?
Pretty sure it means-
Italy.
yeah.
Wait, in Italian.
Yeah, pretty sure it means bully. I don't know if, maybe I'm wrong, but I could have sworn it did.
The original meaning comes from a Sicilian adjective mafioso, and historically it meant swagger, boldness, or bravado.
Well, that's strange. I mean, maybe I like misinterpreted what I had heard, but I could have sworn
a swagger guy, a guy with bravado is usually a bully. So you're not. You're
an arrogant. Yeah. But I mean, it's really hard to say. I think a lot of it is people had a lack of opportunity and they sought opportunities somewhere else. And it's like back then, uprooting your entire life and moving somewhere else was actually feasible. It's like there wasn't nearly as much paperwork, and it was a lot easier to like just move someplace and get established. Nowadays, I mean, it's such a pain in the ass to even be allowed to stay a couple months in some countries, let alone just move there. Isn't it like getting your citizenship in Japan is like, it's like 12 months or something? It takes forever. But I mean, that's like with Italians, like the whole like the without papers thing was like a big deal. That was like a big stereotype. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, but I tried.
I mean, listen. I mean, it's a very complicated question to throw at you, and that's true. I mean, I guess the real answer is Italy was torn apart with civil war and war states, warlords, and I mean, can you blame them? You gotta imagine these are soldiers or family members that are just in a war-torn nation, and they're like, forget this, I'm going to the States, like, why stay here? My whole farm is on fire, my shed is destroyed by a tank, or artillery. I'm going to the U.S.
Yeah, you think about it like, oh, like in my family, like the last 4 generations of like, my family have had like at least one person die in some horrible, like, think about it, like from World War II all the way back to World War I. It was just, I mean, like, and back then it's like warfare was pretty much like you didn't really get wounded, you just got dead. Like, this was before they even had things like body armor and stuff. I mean, I couldn't imagine what it would be like to live in a country like that that's so violent and oppressive. Yeah.
Because I mean, you gotta think, like, I mean, they were Mussolini in his final days was pushing, I mean, there's a common theme here again. My favorite phrase is common theme, I guess. But with Hitler and Mussolini, in their last days of being the leader, they were just throwing the most insane orders ever. Like, okay, now go up
Yeah.
here and invade here, invade here, invade here. Okay, so imagine being a soldier in like 1945 or 1943. I think by 1945 Italy was already gone. So imagine in 1943 being a soldier in Italy and you're having to go into Greece and you're going to Africa again or go into Switzerland. It's like, why? I mean,
Yeah.
why Mussolini? Why we don't need to go in these nations, but and so you got to think, a lot. Your odds of dying is high. I mean, there was thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands that died in World War II. It was like I think it was like a coin flip that you'll die
Yeah.
in World War II. I mean, it's that bad. I mean, so many people dying, just exploding. But I guess that's enough on that subject. I was trying to pull up an article about a mystery potato hovering over Colorado, but of course the New York Times wants my money and they're not getting it, and my remove paywall site is not working here. But I wanted to discuss this mystery potato. Hold on. Let's see.
Well, just right off the bat, I'm gonna say either it's a hoax or it's a drone, and somebody like made a potato drone or something. It's a
Okay.
joke.
See, times like this
Uh-huh.
is where I wish I could put this in a video format, because me talking about it, us talking about it isn't going to do it justice. I'm going to give you the link here, so you can look at it too. But it is a potato or something in the air above a mountain here. And the article says the giant potato was sighted at 9:35 a.m. hovering over the Cheyenne Mountains. The year it was 2022. So this is old news. It was mid-February.
Wait,
About 50.
that's an artistic and. Oh yeah, sorry. Go on.
Oh yeah. So is that really? So that wasn't even.
Yeah.
So this is like a witness account. There's
Yeah,
like
this
pictures
is
of it.
image of an artistic interpretation where somebody just photoshopped a potato after putting on they desaturated the image and just
Is that really
photoshopped a
what it
potato.
is? I think you can zoom in and see like the spud parts. The brown
Yeah.
parts, the dots.
I mean, if I had actually seen that, I would have been like, "Oh, okay,"
well.
very obvious.
Now it's saying, but listen, the year was blah blah blah. It was February, blah blah blah. The sky was blue. The flying spud, or what looked like one, was sighted by an Army intelligence officer. So this has some balls to it, some grounds to it. And 4 members of his unit from Fort Carson in Colorado, according to documents that were among a new tranche of UFO files released by the Trump administration on Friday. It says the witnesses described the object as roughly the size of a large jet and resembling an angular, non-symmetrical potato made of uneven panels. What do you think this was? A cloud, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a cloud. It could be, as they say, an experimental aircraft, some type of balloon, etc. It could have been aliens. Like, who knows? They've spotted some stuff throughout history that was like, I don't know. My other theory is, I don't know, maybe. Have you ever seen? I think they did this in that movie Nope. Have you seen that? It's like a Jordan Peele movie.
No.
The big twist at the end of the movie is that there's like a sky jellyfish and it hides in the clouds.
Never seen it. Maybe someone
Well,
listening has seen it. I mean,
Yeah, it's sky jellyfish. So who knows? Maybe it was like a sky jellyfish doing the equivalent of a whale fall or something, and it was like, yeah, whale fall, but it's called a sky fall. But I don't know.
honoring and staying true to my word, I do have 2 shout-outs here, to viewers. We have a Leah and a Carter, so, shout out to those 2 lovely people. Anyways, moving on. We also have, what else is happening? Because look, I was debating covering Iran again tonight, but, does anybody care? Does anybody care about Iran? I don't. It is the
I
biggest nothing burger. It is the biggest goy slop. Okay, for the goys, for the boomers at home, like saying, "Oh man, yeah, Trump, man, Trump's in Iran, man." Like who? No, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. You know, what do you think?
um I think that the most shocking thing that happened in Iran was everything that happened before we went over there. Um, that was shocking, but everything after is pretty much just part and
Well,
parcel. I mean,
tell us
it's
why
like,
it
well,
was
yeah.
shocking.
I don't know the exact number, but Iran started doing a rebellion or a revolt against like the caliphate that was controlling it, because Iran had started enforcing really bizarre laws like no dancing in public, no dogs. Like if you're caught with a dog or you have a dog in your car, you could be ticketed and your animal taken away. And um, just like what it's like, there is like the dancing in public. There are these people who filmed a video of them, like a couple dancing, and they were both like imprisoned. And God knows what happened to them. Yeah, like just tons and tons of these insane laws that took away basic freedoms, and they started doing like a revolt against it because it's bullshit, and people should be allowed to like express themselves. And the guy that was in control, I mean, I
He's
don't know
dead now.
who he
He's
was.
dead now.
He's dead. Yeah, so it doesn't matter who he was.
Supreme leader.
But yeah, well, he's a supreme fertilizer now. But he like started ordering to just start turning live rounds onto unarmed civilians, and we're talking like young people, like young generation, like the next generation. And I think within a few months, I had heard like 10,000 people killed, or 30,000
Wow.
people killed. I don't know if it's actually that many. That would be an insane, but even killing a dozen people or 100 people, that's enough to just be like, okay, we need to do something about it. But they were just going to systematically execute their population until they finally stopped, and that I thought was the most shocking. That's why I was saying, wow, somebody should really do something about that. And then, hey, look, America did.
Well, so it sounds like you're pro-Iran war. Look, I mean, look, I think there is a great divide here, and it's one of the most, like, transparent, one of the most, like, non-complicated divides, because on one hand you have people like me, who I think, yeah, sure, they're a fascist state, it's a terrible country, but I don't think that it's our place to intervene. I mean, we shouldn't be the world police. I mean, we're not the world police. We have the UN, but we shouldn't, like, if we're going to respond to every minor, nation's, domestic policies, if we're going to be the big bad guys to come and, or save the day, I mean, that's not in our place. I mean, I think we need to have an American first doctrine, like the Monroe Doctrine. We need to just stay in the U.S., never leave. I mean, we have our own hemisphere. Why are we going to the Middle East, huh? Because our great and glorious ally, Israel. But look, and I think, and you disagree. I think you think that we should be in Iran, but I don't think so. I think, they are their own people. They can, they can change the regime on their own. And if they can't, oh well, they're sovereign. They're their own nation. There's other nations like Israel. I mean, Israel is an ethno-state. You can't be, non-Jewish and be a citizen there. It's true. It's fact. Okay, well, that's pretty bad, but yet we don't intervene on them, and also it wasn't the regime of Iran that broke the camel's back. It was the nukes that they wanted to get. It was their, their journey to get nuclear weapons, and well, that's the most hypocritical thing ever, because Israel was allowed to get nukes, and actually, fun fact, a bit of a history lesson here, JFK tried to stop Israel from getting the nukes, and, well, he was shot. Of course, they blamed the communists for it, but it was Israel. They shot him, and then guess what? The next president came in, and he was just all good and ready to give them nukes and let them have that. So, there's a lot more here. I'm not going to give it justice by, summarizing it like this, but I do think it was never our place to go in Iran.
Everything you're saying is very on point, but I would say it's not that I support going to war with Iran or the fact that we did it. It's just the action of killing a bastard. That's all I care about. I don't really care who slays the dragon. It's just I like seeing dragons get slain. Really, I would say it's less of America. Like, we're giving our hardware and stuff, but Israel's the one doing all the heavy lifting. As far as our relationship with Israel, I don't know. I don't really care about Israel because it's not to burst anyone's bubble, but I'm a Christian, and my opinion is Israel or Jewish people. I don't really care about them. I wish we didn't give them money, but unless like Israel and Palestine and Iran, all that shit. It's Christians and Muslims. Look, like if they were all or Christians and Muslims, it's Jews and Muslims. And if they all converted to Christianity, there probably wouldn't be a big war. But that's not going to happen. So until that's a possibility, it's really none of my business.
Wow.
I do think we do bend over a little too much for Israel, though. I don't understand
why. Let me tell you why. Oh my God, you're telling me you don't care about Israel? Big thing coming my way. That is a crazy statement. I couldn't believe that at first.
I am like legitimately crazy as hell sometimes. So
okay, so let me give you. This turned into from 20 minutes to maybe 30. Look, man, you're saying you don't like Israel, okay? Or you don't. I mean, you don't care about them. Yeah, sure, we give them too much money, but everything else, who cares? We should care. Okay, there's a lot at here. Okay, so not to mention, of course, we give them billions every year. That's one thing. But, of course, there was in the 1960s, there was a one USS Liberty attack. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it goes as follows, and this is not exaggerating. The USS Liberty was a vessel, U.S. vessel in the Middle East. I think it was in the Mediterranean Sea. It was, had American flags everywhere. It couldn't have been anything else but American. And it was shot down. Okay, it was shot at and it was sunk. Napalm was shot at it. Artillery, or the big bombs from the helicopter and jets were shot at it. This thing was destroyed, and it was not, destroyed, just to stop it. It was destroyed to kill everyone on board. Israel apologized for it, but over 22 people lost their life. Or it says, it killed 34. 34 died and wounded 171. So this is a big thing that happened, and we just forgot about it. They are our best and greatest ally in the Middle East, and we just forgot that they killed and destroyed the USS Liberty. I mean, what a shame, right? It was clearly marked American, and they just shot it, and we didn't care. No active war, nothing. They thought we were a Hamas or Palestinian ship, but just ask yourself what Palestinian nation or what Muslim nation would have the technology to have that kind of ship. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way. So that's one thing. There's many more. The genocide in Gaza. Okay, look, this is a big thing. If we were to police any nation for how they act and how their, the regime is, it wouldn't be Iran for arresting people having dogs or, whatever. It would be Israel for their genocide in Gaza right now. This is a big thing, guys. Big thing. They're having false flag attacks. They're and they're using that as a cause of war. I'm not gonna get into all of it because I don't know how much this is gonna be okay for Spotify guidelines, but it's bad. And again, I can't stress enough that we're not anti-Jewish. We love the Jews, but we're also anti-Zionist, and that means we're anti Israel, because it's the worst regime. Okay, they are. What's so ironic about Israel is they are acting just how Nazi Germany acted. Okay, they were killed. 6 million of them were killed by Nazi Germany, and now they're acting just like them. Now they're the ones killing Muslims, and so listen. At this point, because of course it's religious. Muslims and Jewish people, they're so opposite. It's totally a modern crusade. It's what it is. And so when you have people that claim to be God's chosen people, and when you have people that claim to be the best the humans of all time, and they're and they have an ethno state, and they're killing Muslims just because they're Muslim. This is bad. I mean, at some point you have to ask yourself, okay, well, maybe their victim card in the Holocaust is expired. Maybe they, yeah, that was a bad thing that Hitler did to them. It was. But maybe they're doing the same thing just now. They're doing the same thing that they whined and moaned about for decades, in centuries, for a century now. It's like, okay, well, now you're doing the same thing. So who's the bad guys here? You know what I'm saying, man? Well, what? What are they doing? What are they doing? What is their thought process? And the fact that nobody's talking about it, nobody is really, making a big fuss about it, tells you everything.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the person that said this, but there was some Israeli politician where they had referred to Jewish people who had died in the Holocaust as being and this is a quote, they said something along the lines of they were the weak Jew, and the Jews of today are the strong. And it's like, it gets to a point of, it's incredulously evil. And I think that, like, it's one of these deals where I do care, and I do think people should care, but it comes to a point to where, the beast is too big to slay, and it becomes something that is...
Nazi Germany was a pretty big beast, and we slayed it all. The whole entire world jumped in.
The beast was slayed not just because the world jumped in, but because it started eating itself, and I think that, if you're going to run any place, and, this does not necessarily be about Israel, but let's just say, hypothetically, there's a place that runs exactly like Israel that's totally different, so, nobody can draw any parallels or clip it. If you're going to run a place that's, like, intensely, militaristic and almost, like, feudal with the crusade and all this crazy ethno-state stuff, that's burning pretty hot, and eventually, something's got to give. What happens if there's a fracture within itself and then they start fighting themselves? Then who's going to save who? I genuinely think that the reason I don't worry about it as much is because I look at this situation and I go, this isn't sustainable. It's like you don't have enough warm bodies to sustain this, and if you keep pushing, if you keep playing, if you give a mouse a cookie, and they just keep wanting to do more and more and more,
well, Israel.
Eventually...
That's Israel.
That's what I'm saying, is eventually, though, there's a saying I love to use, and it's when the kite string pops, right? Because the kite is flying at its highest and enduring the most amount of wind and at its greatest right before the kite string pops, and when the kite string pops, everything gets blown away.
That's true.
And I think that they're going to be riding high and sailing their big old kite, and look at us, we're so powerful and all this, and we're the rulers, and nobody is higher than us. And then something's going to happen that's going to be something that's done that cannot be undone. And after that, just like with any great warrior race, they always end up falling in on themselves. They fall on their own sword. That's the first wound. And then after that, it becomes this sort of like, power play of dominance, like a power vacuum, and, people wanting to get theirs, It's only a matter of time. And I mean, that's not even just to mention that, like, Zionism in itself is like a sham. I can't tell you the amount of people I've seen who are like, and this is a lot of celebrities. I don't know if this is how it is in Israel, but you see so many celebrities that'll be like, oh, well, I'm a non-practicing Jew, but I'm Zionist. And it's like, that always strikes me as so weird. It's like, you're ethnically Jewish, you're a Zionist, but you don't believe in the Torah, you don't believe in any of this stuff, and it's like, why then?
LARPing
What,
Jew,
like,
huh?
yeah, but it's like, like, you'll hear, like, Seth Rogen is, like, an example. He's like, oh, I don't practice Judaism, but I'm a Zionist and early guy, and it's a lot of them. And, I don't understand it. It would be so weird to be like, oh, well, I'm a Christian and I support the Vatican, I guess is like, it's not like Israel, but I support Vatican City and I'm a Christian, but, I don't believe in Jesus and stuff. It's like, what? Like, wouldn't that be, it just seems weird. It seems unsustainable, like, I don't know. It's like grifting, I suppose you could call it that. And, eventually there's not going to be enough to go around for everyone. Somebody's going to want more, and, it's only a matter of time, It's like they one day they do an Israeli expansion, and maybe it doesn't go very well, and maybe they do something really bad, or...
But people can say the United States is the new Roman Empire. Like, just, the way it is, how big it is, how strong it is. So do you think that your whole philosophy that, one day the sword will come back to get them, or, it'll fall in on themselves, do you think that same logic can apply to the U.S. too? And should we be worried about that?
America has one thing over, Israel and a lot of places, is that it's very large. In fact, it's gargantuan. And I feel like, is there a chance that our federal government might dissipate into something else, sure. Do I think that the entirety of America would turn in on itself with war? Maybe, but I also don't think so. It's like, I feel as if though, I don't know, like, I feel as if though, we would never be able to do the Civil War again, where it's like half the country versus half the country. Like, people are really, like, even the stupidest people of today are still more intelligent than a lot of the people of the past. And a lot of them understand that war sucks, and fighting sucks ass. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to see a ton of Americans willingly just, like, walk into gunfire and throw their lives away, But could it fail? Of course it could fail. Anything can fail,
Well, I don't think it's the fact that people are smarter nowadays. I think it's just because everyone's too big of a wuss. I don't think anybody wants to die. We've been so spoiled, of no violence and living great for decades that nobody wants to go out and die. But go ahead.
I think that is true. We are wusses, but it's because we know more about what we're getting into. Back in the 1940s, it's like, or in World War I and World War II, it's like a lot of these guys that were going to war, it's like there were no such thing as war movies. There were no such thing as, it's like a lot of these guys, they would shoot, having a gun back then was a lot more common. A lot of these guys were farm boys that had grown up shooting guns. It's like a lot of the stuff they learned in boot camp was, stuff they already kind of knew. And, you always hear, like, soldiers back then, they were like, well, I didn't really think about it, I just went over there and I shot some people and it's whatever. Because, back then you lived in the moment. People didn't have existential crises as much as they do nowadays, as they did back then, because nowadays, information is so readily available. We're constantly being stimulated by a wave of information every second of every day. Like, a lot of people even, they sleep with information and videos coming. I feel like it makes more sense today for people to be wusses, because we understand exactly what it is we're doing. We don't understand what it's like, but we understand what we're getting into. And, I don't know, like, I think if push came to shove, people would probably fight, like, crazily, like, like wild rabid animals, like Mad Max or whatever. But as far as convincing a bunch of people to go and, like, fight in some battle that has nothing to do with them personally, I don't know. I don't know. But there are a lot of dumb people, If there was, like, another disaster, like, God forbid, something like, that happened in 2001,
I mean, I hope to God there's never another event
Dear
like that. But
we're not, we don't hope that.
no, I absolutely don't. I don't I'm really not pro war or pro violence or anything like that. I love MMA and UFC and stuff. But when it comes to war, I'm always pretty much like, no, don't do it, unless, as said, you're slaying a dragon. Like, I don't care who slays
like
the dragon
dragons,
as long
don't
as someone. I've grown up with them. I trained a couple. I had to put one down last fall. That was pretty heavy, but they're really beautiful creatures if you get past the fire breathing and.
Just to make sure we're on the same page here, dragons are fictional, and you have one. I mean, that's a pretty big, scientific marvel there. Where'd you get it?
It's really not that big of a scientific marvel. You just have to know who's in the know. And I got it because my family, the Dronglaxenfeiten from Sweden, they actually inherited the eggs, and it's only like a few families on retainer that actually take care of them. The reason fossils don't exist with dragons is because they have fluted bones. They're actually more closely related to birds. In that movie, Jurassic Park, when he's talking about how raptors are related to birds, that was actually lifted straight from the Draconic Grimoire, believe it or not. It was a little wink and a nod from Steven Spielberg. He knows about dragons, of course, Yep.
That's
so
great.
There you go. Anyway, we're talking about America and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up here though. But hey, listen, this was a great thing. I hope you enjoyed your time.
Yeah, I figured we would. I was thinking, I'm like, oh man, he's gonna ask me about Carmelo Anthony, but you never did.
Oh yeah, well
Great.
I think I've covered it like in 2 episodes so far, and so I don't, I would,
Yeah.
but listen. I'll ask you. What's your opinion on it? What's your opinion? I want to know.
Just to assuage anyone from being too pissed off, just know, him getting 35 years is pretty rough. The reason he probably didn't get more was because he was under the age of 18 when he committed the crime, and there are laws that they will just slap your ass. So it's like, I don't know what it is, but if you're under a certain age, it excludes you from a bunch of shit, regardless of race.
What do you think that's rough? I think it should have been more.
I think it should have been death penalty, to be completely
so
honest.
are you saying it's rough?
Well, it's rough because the laws exclude him from a lot of that. But 35 years in the pen is still a long time. And everyone's like, well, yeah, but if he serves 17.5, he'll get off on parole. And it's like, nah, don't be so sure of that. Because he'll have to serve 17.5 years, not only having good time served without violent offenses, but also convincingly showing remorse and regret and improvement. And I highly doubt Carmelo Anthony is going to actually do it.
He's so stone-faced and he doesn't care. He doesn't care about it.
He is a psychopath. I honestly think that Austin Metcalf is almost a martyr, because I wonder how many people were maybe potentially saved because he took the blade for it's like, I don't think Carmelo Anthony intended to kill Austin. I think he intended to stab him. I think just killing him was the universe's way of a big old fuck you from the universe, as serendipity would have it. I do, but I still think he is not going to have. He is not going to have a fun. What's up?
It was one stab, right? Yeah.
One stab right into the heart.
Yeah.
I
think he just wanted to he was mad, he was angry, he wanted to be like, okay, here, stab, go patch it up, go rub some dirt into it. But then he was like, oh crap, it was the heart.
And I honestly don't think he was angry or mad. I think he had already planned. He knew he was planning to do it. I think that, how many other situations had he put himself into where people didn't touch him? It's like, for all we know, he could have been doing that exact shtick for weeks, months before, just waiting to have an excuse to do it. Yeah, or he was just too afraid to do it.
What if
And
he asked
finally,
his dad? What if he was asking his dad like, "Hey, Dad, I want to go stab someone," and the dad's like, "Oh, well, make sure they hit you first, son."
I don't think Carmelo and his father probably have much of a
That's
relationship.
true. Yeah, I didn't even think
I
about
don't think
that.
they probably.
The
Yeah, I don't think they've
stereotypes.
probably been, which is really sad. I mean, it sucks because it'd be great if they did, but the issue is like Carmelo's father is he's not a very intelligent person. So I don't even know if he would have had good advice like at all. Obviously he didn't because his son, murdered somebody for no reason without provocation. Like, you're not a great father if your son does that, and that's like his first offense. It's like, oh yeah, normally kids when they're 17, their first offense is, oh, he got drunk and came home late. We caught him smoking a pack of cigarettes. Not, potentially premeditated homicide in the first degree. That's a little rough, but yeah, it's whatever. I just want to assure people, though, that 35 years is 35 years, and most people don't really make it out from that. I've never met somebody that had the only person I ever met that was in prison for that long is I knew a guy who had been in prison for 18 years, and that dude was like, he was still in prison in his mind. He was never.
He's 17 years old. He'll be in there, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, listen, he'll be 52 when he gets out. 52. He'll be an old guy. He'll be, halfway through his life. And
Imagine,
yeah,
all of your formative years are behind bars. Your youth completely gone. I mean, by the time you get out, if you even get out, and this is to say that he does get out. I mean, who knows? Like, there was a guy, I can't remember who was. That's what I'm saying. Or just attack someone, or be a part of something where somebody he knows attacks someone, and he gets conspiracy. It's like they're and this is to say that he's all hunky dory and isn't targeted. Like, who knows? Like, I mean, situations like this, if he gets in trouble and if people are after him, whether that be racial gangs or whatever, or the guard, you could always get transferred to a different maximum security penitentiary, and then you go there, and I mean, it's a slippery slope, and he's a young kid, and I don't think he's ever been to prison before, so it's essentially like putting Call of Duty on veteran without having played Call of Duty before. And you only have one life. You only have one life. So it's like hardcore Iron Man veteran mode on Call of Duty World at War.
I mean, back to our World War II, talking about that. I mean, he'll die.
Yeah,
But yeah, so you got to think he's going to prison. Look, for 35 years, that'll be his life. And you got to think also, since it's only 35, and since he's also a minor, he'll be in the general population. So that's 35 years of being with loads and loads of prisoners. Okay, he's gonna find he's gonna get into some trouble here. I mean, he's gonna get into a gang. He's gonna because there's no listen. Not even because of the color of his skin though, but there's only like 10% of prisoners in prison that have a normal quote unquote life where they're having a prison job and they're going to their cell and repeat every day. No, he's gonna get into a gang. He's gonna have fun, or so he thinks, and well, he's gonna get 20 more, and then 20 more, and 20 more.
Yeah. And I mean, not to mention to everyone that knows, it's like solitary confinement for high-profile or problem prisoners. I mean, solitary confinement can age you. Dealing with 1 year of solitary could age you by 5, and it actually degradates your frontal lobes to where you have problems processing speech. I mean, look up videos of people that have gotten released out of prison after a couple decades, and they slur their speech. You can barely talk, and it's because being in prison, it physiologically breaks down your brain, and it literally retards you. So, to anyone thinking it's a light sentence, just remember my words and know, I wouldn't want to deal 35 years in the pokey. I ain't going. Oh wait, I was about to. And not only that, it's like, another term for the prison is the queer factory.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's gonna have fun
Oh
at the
my God.
he's gonna have fun at the
Yeah.
booty house.
Yeah.
The
But
booty,
because you
the
gotta think
booty
he's
house
also.
loves it.
I mean, being so young, I bet he's only had like the vagina like 2 times. So give or take.
If at all.
If at all. I mean, I'm just because he's black and because he's a a gangster and whatnot. I'm just assuming. I don't know. Maybe he's not. I don't want to be racist here, but maybe because of his his culture, maybe he's had it. But got to think now for 35 years he's going to be searching for that feeling again, and well, to replicate that, there's going to be a prison whore somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he could even turn into that too. I mean, it's like, I'm not even joking, man. It's like, fuck, man, they'll fish you out. Like, and he's only in a medium security prison, but that's not to say he'll never get transferred to a max. And sometimes you just get transferred to a max because they need the bed space. They'll be like, hey, guess what? You're getting transferred. Why? Because of some bureaucratic nonsense. And then, you go to big boy prison, and then it's like, oh, okay, now I'm stuck here for the rest of my life. Like, yeah. So it's one of those deals. As said, I think that we should have just. I would have pushed for capital punishment, but we can't because he was under the age of 18, and I do understand that. I'm not going to sit there and say they should change that law. It's just one of those deals.
Well, when it comes to that, though, this is pretty controversial to some people, but I think the capital punishment is more humane than life in prison. I do think that. I think if you kill I think if you put someone on death row, first of all, they're getting the best cell, like pretty big cells, with a lot of a lot of. I was watching a documentary about life on death row on YouTube, and these guys have like the best stuff. They got Xboxes, they got TVs. Some even have cats and dogs in their cell, and it's a pretty big cell. It's like bigger. It's like a school bus size, pretty big, because that's their life. And also the wait to get executed is like 10 to 20 years, maybe 30. Pretty long time to be killed. But I think that when you're in prison for your life, that's a long time of being in danger and being in concrete and just having the worst time of your life. And then, to be killed, I mean, hey, at least, you're out of your misery. I mean, I know it's pretty dark, but at least you're, in the afterlife, whatever you believe in, maybe you're there. So I do think it's more humane. I know some disagree, but I do think it's more humane to be killed than to serve 80, 70 years.
I had watched this documentary on like the criminal pathology. I had paid like something on Patreon to watch videos on it, and I think there was this one video that was called "The Psychology of the 10th Floor." And while a lot of your points are true to an extent, putting a timer on your life, even one that's uncertain, one that says, regardless of what you do, what choices you make, where you go, you are to be condemned to death. It might surprise you, it triggers this distress in our brains that it doesn't matter if you have an Xbox or a dog or a cat. It is psychologically just like, I mean, it wrecks people. And especially with prisoners, like knowing that you are going to be put to death, it fucks with you like really bad. And not to mention like all that other stuff in prison, even if not death row. Like I was watching this documentary, and it showed like it was like a lineup of all these different hardcore thugs, and it wasn't just black people. It was like white people, black people, and these guys are all like in triple max lifers, and they're all like, what are you in for? And, it's like, oh man, I'll tell you what, I'll fuck a motherfucker up. And it's like, yo man, I'll be in here, man, all the, it's like, I'm a real thug, man, I killed 3 drug dealers, like going through all the lineup, all their tough stuff. And then the interviewer is like, when's the last time you saw the moon? And every single one of them they freeze up, and they're like, last time I saw the moon was, oh man, I can't remember. Every single one of them started crying. And you realize it's like, oh, it's a fate worse. You are right. It is a fate worse than death. Because the idea of like,
What about
You
what
haven't
about yard
seen.
time? Yard time? Hello?
They don't go out at night. You don't go out at night.
Well, so
They don't have windows in a lot of prisons, not to the outside.
well, I mean, you're telling me that in all of your years of prison, you haven't seen one glimpse out the window during nighttime?
Nope.
Wow. I mean, I guess you're
Yeah.
right, because, the way the cells might be, there's a lot of lights outside, the cell window, so, you
Yeah,
can't
exactly. Too.
and the windows are small, too, and also, I mean, I think you're in the, when night falls, you're in your cell, that's it, you're not going out to other parts of the prison, so, wow,
If you do, if you do manage to get out and see the moon, it might be one of the last things you see before the goon squad comes up and makes you wish you just stayed in your fucking cell.
the goon squad, what are you talking about? We're talking about
It's a
prison.
pity. No, that's a term for the guys that come in with like electrified riot shields and batons and stuff. If you fuck up and you piss off those, they're the goon squad, man, and they will make you wish you don't win
I
a
gotta
fight with
Google
those
that.
guys.
What are you talking about? Have you lost your mind?
It's what-
You said you're crazy.
No, Larry Lawton. You should. Larry Lawton is this YouTuber. He used to be a diamond thief, and he did 12 years in a maximum security. And he has this book called Gangster Redemption, where he talks about like the goon squad was what he would call like the riot police in the prison. You would have like punks would be what you refer to as like prison bitches and stuff. Like there's all sorts of terminology. So I figured I'd use it. 'Cause
This is the
it's
goon
fashionable.
squad. This was 6 former Mississippi law enforcement officers who pled guilty to several federal and state charges for acts of torture, rape, and a mock execution committed against 2
Yep.
black men. Was that
Well,
it?
no, you can't. I don't know. That might be where the name comes from. Just like how they call like spies Pinkertons and stuff. Like it could be like a similar. But with AI overview, you got to be careful because sometimes they'll associate certain like on Google. If you typed in nose ring theory, it would describe nose ring theory as a misogynistic. Like a misogynistic, sexist, epithet used against women. When if you Google it now, it'll say like, "Oh, it's like a meme." Like the meanings change on that shit. I feel like every person will have like a different AI overview, so
About this.
don't always trust it. Goon Squad probably did exist, and they probably did do that. But at the same time, I mean, a modern internet stereotype suggesting a correlation between individuals with prominent and certain psychological traits. Yeah, but I swear, like I've looked it up before, and it just says like a fringe meme often said to describe like it. It's funny because does it say misogynistic? Being out no, like before I had one where it said it was a misogynistic like epithet used against I don't think it's politically left leaning and being or outspoken politically. I never thought of nose ring theory as being left leaning.
Oh my god, this is my longest episode yet. We've been on here for an hour.
Wait, really? Holy shit! It doesn't even feel like that at all. Whoa, that's crazy.
Oh my god.
Well, hey, I don't want to like screw up your pacing or anything, so we can wrap it all up if you prefer, sir.
Yeah, I mean, because I've never I have to edit this and put music in and whatnot. But look, hey, this was nice. I mean, if you're ever free again, I think they'd like have you on again. I'd certainly like to.
I'm currently most often free, so just hitteth me uppeth, sireth.
I will. Yeah, thank you, guys. Let me know how Jack did, and yeah, I'm Dallas Lucas, and this was Saw the Sign. Not a lot of news today, a lot of rambling and yapping, but I hope you still liked it. Thank you all.